2024? I've been trapped for 50 years? When I got the invitation, it was very exciting. And to play the character of Shadow, I was like, what? Yes. I'd seen the Sonic films and liked them very much. So for me, to be a part of Sonic 3 and playing Shadow is very special.
Sonic in the first film, I think you could see he was taken from, or not taken, he moved from his planet to our planet, and he was very lonely, and he was desperate for friendship, and he found that friendship, and so that's that one. The second one is him learning how to be a teammate with Tails and Knuckles. I think, if you look back at that, and it's like, oh, how do they work together and stuff like that. The third one is kind of him being a leader.
Well, in Sonic 3, Team Sonic faces a new enemy called Shadow. He's faster than Sonic, stronger than Knuckles, and with his powers of teleportation, he seems to be invincible. But he's not. He's just showing up in other places. Now, in order to fight this powerful Jungian archetype, they have to team up with, spoiler alert, Dr. Robotnik, who in their last encounter was, trigger warning, almost unalived, but spoiler alert, wasn't. But the real twist comes when Ivo's diabolical grandfather, Gerald, shows up and brings new meaning to the life of his grand seedling.
The best part about making these films is usually the last 2 minutes of the film, which is when we get to tease what's next. And we've always been so fortunate that we have such a great library of characters. At the end of Sonic 1, we got to tease Tails coming into the story. At the end of Sonic 2, we got to tease Shadow. And seeing the fan response at the end of those movies and hearing it in the theaters and just people losing their minds and just screaming at the top of their lungs, and it just gives you such an incredible boost, and you just want to run right out of the screening and just get to work on the next movie, because you just know people are just so ready and going so crazy to see their favorite characters turn up in one of these films.
The Sonic universe is all-encompassing. Only a fool would try to quantify it. I think it was Carl Sagan who said, "For creatures as small as we, the vastness is bearable only through the collection of over 50 rings, or finding a Chaos Emerald." I'm paraphrasing, of course. Carl Sagan said something completely different, but I'm sure he was a big, big Sonic fan.
It fills you with, like, all these good positive emotions of like, wow, we're still here doing this. And people want to see these movies. And they want to see him, and they want to see these new characters come in, and they want to see this family. And that, to me, has always been, I don't know, sort of familial element to it, is this like core, He came to Earth feeling like an outsider and feeling lonely and sad about losing his family, and we created this family. We provided a family for him, and he did for us.
We now have 2 Robotniks, which, by the way, if you're a fan of Jim Carrey, you always want him putting on prosthetics whenever he can and making you laugh. I am the biggest, I love Jim Carrey so much. So the idea that he's playing against himself it's just heaven to watch him be like a comedic mastermind against himself. And then also, for the first time ever, Robotnik teams up with Sonic for a little bit of this film. And so Sonic gets more lines of, reluctant teaming up together, which is really fun.
What is new is the epic proportion of it. The scale is immense. Thanks to Neil Moritz, Toby Asher, and Jeff Cecil B. DeFowler. I mean, this thing is so huge, you won't believe it's about a hedgehog. But you can't argue with the fan base. If it's hedgehogs they want, it's hedgehogs they'll get.
You guys are gonna love, the fans are absolutely gonna love all the Shadow stuff. I think they're just gonna, their minds are gonna be blown. It's just, I love how true to the franchise that the creators are. They're just so smart about it. They're so creative about it, and the way that they are able to stick these little gems in there for everybody is really, minds will be lost all over the place.
There was only one name I think anyone ever mentioned or thought of when it came to voicing Shadow, and fortunately he said yes.
I don't look like you. You look like me.
And that was, of course, Keanu Reeves. I mean, you could not ask for somebody who seems more born to play this character than Keanu, and I think he just got it. Like in our first conversations, and we would just, I had all the imagery from the games, I had all the Shadow Maria backstory, just everything that fans love about the character, and he just got it, just right off the bat. He just understood why Shadow is who he is, why he's doing what he's doing, why we thought that Keanu would be a great fit for the character. It just all kind of clicked in an amazing way.
I was very familiar with Sonic, the game. I never played it, and so I didn't know all of the lore until I got the role and started doing research. Well, I felt sorry for the guy. And, I really, just the hardship and the way that, being created and then having this friendship and love with Maria and having that kind of taken away from him. And I really liked his heart on the inside and, just trying to get to the best part of them, of being, the beautiful spirit that Shadow is.
Well, since we saw Robotnik last, he's been locked in a cycle of carbo-coping, growing his hair, binge-watching telenovelas, and gaining a lot of weight. The guy has been in a bottomless downward spiral of egoic desolation, the kind that can only happen to a really sore loser.
Jim Carrey inspired is like the greatest thing in the world, because he just comes in and, I don't know, honestly, if this was his idea to do the two characters or not, but seeing him have dialogue with himself, and he was telling me the other day, he said, this has been such an out-of-body experience for me, because I'm like having to have a conversation with myself as I'm circling myself, and it was to see him like just jazzed about being able to play the sort of range of this old grandfather, pot-bellied grandfather. He's a real scientist when it comes into like getting the funny bits. And it's like, he's a hero of mine. It was like such an inspiration when I was growing up, and seeing him work, and it's like a mad scientist, but you're sitting there just trying not to bust, because he'll surprise you with something that he knew he had in his back pocket, but you didn't know it was coming.
Well, the technical challenges of being in two places at once is pretty obvious, except in my mind. I'm everywhere and everything. All that is, was, and ever will be. But on the set, it's kind of difficult to depict that. So we hired this great actor, Brendan Murphy, who played the other side of me against me, except when I was the other side of me against me. Fortunately, he was a quick study. Sometimes he knew the words before I did. I was jealous of him, even though I would make damn sure he was never on camera. He was a great comfort, though. He was amazing. And I still call him sometimes whenever I'm at odds with myself.
Jeff Fowler is a genius. What we have gotten from Jeff is unbelievable. First of all, he took a video game franchise, and he turned it into a movie that people love. That in itself is incredible. For someone who loves video games, that's amazing. But he does such an incredible job with mixing VFX with live action, him dealing with the live action actors, getting incredible performance out of them, getting great performances out of me, Colleen, Idris, and Keanu.
My voiceover sessions were intense. Working with the director, Jeff, very supportive. I wanted to realize Jeff's dream. I wanted to, realize the Shadow in this context of the film. When I was playing Shadow, I was just trying to figure out, there's Ben. I thought of Ben as a tenor, and I thought of Idris as the bass, in a choir. And I was like, where can my Shadow be? And so I was like, I'm an alto. So I tried to just kind of fit into that kind of soundscape. I didn't want to go too low with Shadow because Knuckles is there. And I didn't want to go too high because, Ben and Sonic are there. And then I also wanted to have this quality that Shadow's a little older. He's been, I wanted to play him a little older than Sonic. So trying to find that spot of the voicing and the emotion was intense.
Probably the thing that was the most exciting about working with Keanu was just seeing how hard he worked and how much he wanted to get it right. When you have a character like Shadow who doesn't talk as much as Sonic, when he does say something, it's really meaningful, and that really that creates an opportunity from an acting standpoint just to really make the most of those lines. I think there are probably 4 times as many Sonic lines in this movie as Shadow lines, but Keanu, what he brought and how hard he worked to get each of those lines perfectly, it was just incredibly inspiring.
Jeff is so nice and so calm and so down to earth, and I think that really creates an energy on set. Like, this set is great, and he's very technical. I think he has a visual effects background, so he really knows what he needs. I have watched his previs and been like, I'm glad I'm not directing this, because it's like he's got a lot going on, and he really knows what he needs, and it's exciting to see.
You set out on this first movie, and you just keep your fingers crossed and hope that what you imagine and the world that you create for the fans, that they embrace it and that they love it. And the first movie came out and was gangbusters, and with a minor tweak of the character's animation. And then you just want to keep adding to that. You're taking these great kind of classic characters from the game and bringing them into the movies. And then the set pieces get bigger, the sets get bigger. We're in London, we're in Tokyo, we're like, all over the place. That's part of the fun, is sort of getting to expand these worlds and allow this, for a bigger scale, and it just kind of makes everything feel more epic. And I think that's what the audience wants to see.
Well, when I heard that Keanu Reeves wanted to play Shadow, I said, oh, all right. And then I went. But he was perfect.
I mean, I like the cool stuff that Shadow gets to do, with his powers, and then the levels, as they kind of step up with intention, going there and going, I'm angry, I'm sorry, it's just all about this intensity of feeling, trying to get what you want in a way. Just visually, it's very exciting.
I think Sonic is a cool little unbeatable teen hero, and people love the games. The characters you love growing up, you feel like they're a part of your identity. They hold a sacred place in your psyche. The fans know more about the characters in the games than we do, and their input is gold so far. So if you're not making it for them, who are you making it for?
There's so many reasons I think you should see this film. First of all, Keanu Reeves, Idris Elba, Jim Carrey, another Jim Carrey, me, James, we have Tika, we have Natasha, Colleen. We have so many incredible people in here, but the action is unbelievable. The effects are amazing. It is bigger in scope. If you like 1 and 2, it's bigger in scope. And I think these movies are kind of growing with the audience a little bit. There is darkness in this one. There's loss in this one. There's a lot, but there's so much comedy. And if you're a fan of the video games, you are rewarded times 1,000 in this, especially if you owned a Dreamcast at the time. So it is really exciting. I can't wait for people to see it, and I can't wait to see what people think.
Yeah, I mean, if I go into my inner Shadow, Sonic's no match for me.
Has the time come to break the glass? Or at least break something? Nothing can stop Team Knuckles.